Welcome to The Eventful Entrepreneur with Krista Graham, where we embark on an exciting journey through the dynamic intersection of weddings and entrepreneurship. Join me, Krista Graham, your guide in the world of growing a successful wedding business. In each episode this season, we dive into one piece of your client journey from marketing to offboarding. Whether you're a seasoned wedding pro or just starting, this podcast is your go-to resource for navigating the intricacies of the wedding industry. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Eventful Entrepreneur podcast. As the intro said, I'm Krista and I'm your host. And we are moving on to that wonderful, magical moment when the client that you have so nurtured and consulted and kind of groomed into your business has signed the contract and they've paid their deposit and they are officially a client of yours. So what I want to talk about today, and honestly, this is probably going to be the only podcast on this topic in June because I have a really, really busy month. I'm out of town for a week. It's the last of school for the kids, which is always a crazy week. And then, honestly, I feel like all these topics fit great into one podcast episode, and it's not going to be that long of an episode. So to break it out into several smaller episodes, once I thought about it and kind of made my outline, just kind of didn't make sense. So you're going to get the whole of onboarding in this one episode. If you have questions on onboarding your clients or anything we've talked about previously, really anything, because I can always work your questions into another episode with similar topics. I will leave a link in the show notes where you can enter your questions, and I will do a Q&A in an upcoming episode to answer them. Okay, with that housekeeping out of the way, the first suggestion that I want to make when you have new clients is to use a checklist for your onboarding process. I use Todoist for all of my checklists. I have a template that I start with that includes pretty much every task I could ever need to do with a client for wedding planning. And one of the lists, I think it's called a list in Todoist, or you could do this like in Trello, something similar. I'm sure Asana or all the productivity things would work. But I have a list that's for onboarding the client, and I check them off as I go. That way I don't forget anything. Things happen in the right order when that matters. So the first thing I do is I go into HoneyBook, I countersign the contract, and I print a copy of the contract, and I save a copy to their Google Drive folder. After I countersign the contract, I have a smart file in HoneyBook. It says it's set as a template. I don't usually have to change much, but I will customize it if needed for the client and what they signed up for. And then I have a welcome email that goes out with that smart file, which just sets some expectations moving forward. And we'll talk about some of those expectations at the end of this episode. I use a kind of a hybrid paper and digital system. So I am still printing contracts. I like to be able to write on them. I like to be able to highlight if they have questions on certain things as we move forward. Sometimes it's easier for me to grab the paper copy and look through. If there are multiple contracts as things change with like catering or whatnot, I will just keep the most recent copy in the folder so I don't get confused myself, and I'll toss the old printed version, but I will keep the old digital version, and I will date the file name so I know which one's the most recent. So I create that folder, and what I use is called a purple slash pocket from Organized 365. Not affiliated with them at all. I just love everything that she does, and I use her system for both work and home paper organization and processing and things like that. I have a bunch of YouTube videos on those. If you are interested, I can try and remember to put them in the show notes for you. But I create their purple slash pocket, and all that means is labeling the slash pocket on the little tab with their names. I just use the client's first names, Sophia and John, or whatever their names are. And purple is the color I designate for clients. So that's why it's a purple slash pocket. I also add the client's phone numbers into my phone. And I used to put the date and the venue just in case, it was a new client and they called or something, or it was in the beginning, I had a lot of coordination clients where they would sign and I probably wouldn't work with them for 6-9 months down the road. And just so I could connect their names with the venue and their date, I would put that in there as well. I've stopped doing that because most of my clients now are actual planning clients, and I work with them pretty quickly after they sign and get to know them pretty quickly. It's easier for me to associate their name with their date and their venue, having worked with them regularly. So all that to say, now I just add their names and phone numbers into my phone. The next thing I do is go into Google Drive and set up their planning portal. Now this is just a Google Drive folder, and it has a bunch of documents that I've created, some from the Refine for wedding planners. I will link them in the show notes as well. I've purchased a lot of templates through them. I don't really use the whole portal system. When you look at it, I don't use that anymore. I just use the documents and create my own kind of portal in Google Drive. That is something that I will share with a client, usually after our first meeting. So I go ahead and set it up now, and then after the first meeting, I'll kind of customize it if I need to. I'll customize their budget spreadsheet, customize the to-do list, and reach out to any vendors that are already booked, schedule a venue tour if I've never worked at the venue before, all of that after that first meeting. But I will set up the planning portal in the beginning as soon as they've signed, just so it's there and ready to go. And then I will schedule their first meeting. I actually send a scheduling link in that welcome smart file that I send via Honeybook. And then a couple days, maybe even probably the Friday before the week of their meeting, I will send them the agenda for that meeting. And the whole purpose of the first planning meeting for me is to get to know them a little bit better. I love for this meeting to be in person. There's really only 3 meetings that I prefer to be in person as we start planning and go through the process. It's this first meeting, it is our design meeting, and our final meeting. Those 3 I prefer to be in person. Everything else can pretty much be done virtually. Okay, so I use one major website for automations, and that's called Zapier. I know there's others that do this, but the main automations that help me in this onboarding process it's those little just like copying folders or creating to-do lists, things like that I just want to be done for me. So I have 2 automations set up that help me here. So I've connected Honeybook with Google, and then also I've connected Honeybook with Todoist. Also, there's one more. Actually, I connected Honeybook with my Gmail. So what this does is anytime a contract is signed, that's the trigger, then it creates something in those other programs. So whenever a contract is signed in Honeybook, I have automatically creates a Google Drive folder with the couple's name, a Todoist project with the couple's name, and then a Gmail folder with the couple's name. That helps me, and instead of saying the couple's name, I think it's technically set up to create whatever the project name is in Honeybook, and I always name my project names, the couple's names, wedding, or the person's names, graduation, or whatever. So that really, really helps me save time on those like little menial tasks that set up the rest of the process. So I highly recommend looking into Zapier. Every year or so, I should probably do this every quarter, but every year or so I go in and just kind of play around and see what other automations might be available, whether I have started using new software, or they've added automations for software that I currently use, or sometimes there's just a connection that I didn't realize I could make before and automate something new. So I'm constantly trying to figure out how to make things easier. Okay, so the last part here is setting expectations for your clients and using this onboarding process to do that. Now, I start this in my welcome email and smart file that I send them after I countersign the contract. I have little blurbs about different things that I want to set expectations for in that smart file. So things that you might want to include are how can your clients contact you? Do you want them only emailing? Do you care if they call? Do you care if they text? Do you have a Slack channel? Things like that. I don't care what it is, but you set that expectation. When can they contact you? When are you in the office? When are you generally available to answer calls? When are you generally available to take meetings? Of course, you can update this. I tend to update this monthly or seasonally. I just sent emails to my clients yesterday about my summer availability, letting them know I'd be on vacation for a week, and what my new meeting days are. I also use Honeybook to schedule, so they always know they can get a link and they can match their availability with mine. And if nothing matches up, they can message me and we'll figure something out. What are your protocols for event days? I put in my welcome packet. I also have in my email signature that I am unavailable on event days. People want me to be present and focused on their wedding, and I think they appreciate that I'm not available for other people on their wedding day. Let's see, I said meeting availability. How will they schedule meetings? Will you just email them? Is there a link they can always go to? Things like that. How and when will you communicate? Letting them know, okay, every first week of every month, I will send you an update email with where we are in the planning process, or every week, or every quarter, or however your package is structured. Let them know how and when you will communicate. If they need to cancel a meeting, do you have a policy or a preference how they do that? What do you do about missed payments? How are payments handled? How should they stay organized through the planning process? And any special offers or affiliate offers that you have, affiliate codes, things like that. Those are all things you can include in your welcome packet to set some expectations from the beginning. Okay, that is it. That's all I wanted to cover over onboarding. The only other thing that I think might be useful, but I want you to tell me if this is the case, is what I include in the Google Drive folder that I use as kind of their portal, the document templates. If I go through this, it will be a general list. I won't go into too many details because, like I said, a lot of those templates are purchased from Refine for Wedding Planners, and I do not want to share any of their paid the information that people pay for. I don't want to share too much of that or any of that, actually. I would just refer you back to the Refine for Wedding Planners and know that I customize things further for my clients. So I have their templates saved. I have my customized templates saved. Um, and then if there's anything that needs further customized for each client, like the budget spreadsheet, things like that, that will be saved within their planning portal, which again is just a Google Drive folder. Okay, that is it for now. You guys tell me what you need. I usually talk about my email organizing mini course that I have, and I have a course that talks about being able to quit your day job and work your business full time. I am thinking about pivoting and working more in the organizing space and productivity and systems and organization in your business, things that I just really love to always talk about, and honestly, things that people are kind of impressed when they see my inbox has 0 emails. They're like, "How do you do that?" I would love to teach you how to do that. What other things like that do you need? Please, 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 you can DM me on Instagram. You can send me an email, hello@christagram.com. You can DM me on Facebook. I don't care. However, you can tell me, what things do you need help organizing? What things do you just need to be easier in your business? Um, that will help me figure out how I need to pivot in the education space and maybe help me set up some episodes for season 3. But we are only halfway through season 2, so I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I hope you guys have a great June, and I will talk to you in July.